Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and deceased. Welcome to my Walking Dead review of the episode, I Ain't a Judas. So, spoiler alert before I dive into this, and a few quick notes before I get into the thick of my analysis and reactions about the episode. So first of all, I am eternally angry at myself for not knowing that Comic-Con was coming to Portland, which is in my general area. So I totally missed out on the opportunity to meet the Dixon brothers, so I eternally hate myself until the next potential once upon a blue moon opportunity that I might actually get to see them in person. So anyways, so that was a sadness I experienced this weekend. I tried to get around to go and I wasn't able to. Also, I apologize that this vlog is up a little bit late. I was catching up with the Oscars, which went a freaking hour late. If you have any reactions about those, you can feel free to post them below, because I'm always interested to chat about other film excitingness out there. Also, a lot of you guys have been telling me about some of the parallels and differences between the TV show of The Walking Dead and the comics. And I have not personally read the comics yet, but from what you guys have been telling me, there are some seriously dark insanities that happen in the comics as compared to the show. And, you know, they probably didn't end up pulling those off on the show simply because they're almost, I don't know, they're almost too dark in some ways. So very interesting stuff. You guys can feel free to let me know about, you know, some of those differences and what you like better in the show or the comics or whatever else. I'm always interested to hear. So tonight's episode was, for me, kind of disappointing in some ways. I was hoping for more of a, you know, Daryl and Merle kind of focus. Of course, the scenes, you know, where Merle is kind of, you know, he's kind of creeping in the corner and egging people on, of course, those are very satisfying and exciting as usual. But I was anticipating a little bit more of a focus on them as compared to Andrea's eternal moral crisis. Sheesh. That woman, let me just say, for those of you who have seen the show Dexter, which I love, heart, soul, body, and mind, Andrea's actions, or lack thereof, at the end of the episode remind me very much of the Dexter Season 7 episode entitled Do the Wrong Thing. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? For those of you who've seen it, my exact thoughts in that moment. You have the opportunity to end it. And I think it was hilarious that it was Carol's idea, you know, regarding how Andrea should prevent this war. And she has the opportunity to end it in bed. Woo! What better way to prevent the potential deaths of probably a lot of people that you love and care about? Well, apparently that there's something about the way the moon was shining on his face or something. Woman, just, I can't deal with you. I just don't understand. I was also thinking when Andrea came to visit the prison and try to reconnect with her old homies that are holsing up over there, I was thinking, you know, when she's asking about like where Shane is and, you know, all the people that she doesn't know are gone yet, and I was thinking, if Shane was there, she'd probably stick around, you know, ditch out on the governor, who's not been relationally the best beau for her. So these are my thoughts that I have as I process and try to lighten things in my brain. So Andrea, disappointments of all disappointments. What are you guys thinking? How much longer is she gonna last? What are the implications of her inability to act when she has the perfect opportunity? Now, I actually thought in that scene that, you know, the governor was gonna reach out and like grab her hand at the last second, she was gonna be screwed and just killed in an instant, but by then, you know, the kind of like melancholic and yet sort of soothing music was playing, so I was like, are they, you know, usually you kind of get into that groove as the music's playing, like the outro, and you're like, okay, is anything significant gonna happen? But, you know, I don't know. So, basically, Andrea, way to go, woman. Other things. So Rick still troubles me. He is very difficult to watch in this moment. Starting to separate himself a little bit more from the delightfully realistic, intangible images of Ghost Laurie. So to some extent, he kind of has to come back into the picture, and yet, you know, he's still constantly, like, he'll say like 2 lines, just kind of huff and puff and get mad, and then he just kind of jets at the last minute. And and I love that Herschel's like, I ain't having none of this. I ain't having none of this. And he calls him out in the beginning in a scene that was very satisfying to me, and I was just, thank you, someone, for attempting to call him out. It's like, you know, you have withstood a serious loss, but who in this point in time hasn't? And it's time for you to start getting your bearings together and to work on building the family that you still have, and to come to terms with your grief, and to actually like take the time to let yourself do that, instead of continuously screw everything up for everyone else because you're making up for your inability to deal with your own problems by bossing everyone around, and you barely even have the mental capacity to do so with good judgment. So it's a delightful dilemma. Finally, Carl calls him out on it too, and Carl kind of freaks me out. He has withstained so much loss himself. Like, I mean, in a sense, he's kind of lost his dad too. I mean, you know, there's this moment in the end where Rick is saying, you know, that Carl's ready to like go into warfare and stuff. But I think that's more of a matter of him being so shut down that he doesn't see there being any hint of vulnerability left in anybody else, much less himself. So, I mean, you know, all of a sudden, Carl's kind of like the headshot wonder of this season, so I mean, I guess in a sense he could be ready to help with warfare, but at the same time, it's like, you know, Rick has lost a fundamental piece of him. And again, I have to bring in this sort of Dexter parallel because that show is just in my blood and the fiber of my being. So, you know, it's interesting because it seems that as like a character, a sort of dark, almost Byronic hero of Dexter is, as the serial killer killing other serial killers, he's actually starting to like find his humanity in the process and to own things, whereas Rick is losing the ability to own anything and kind of losing his humanity. He's trying to stand for something that I don't think he even knows how to believe in right now. So again, it's really hard to watch him. I love my Hershey bar. He's a rockin' and a rollin', and I really like the scene with him and Merle kind of having this, you know, as much of a heart-to-heart as they can, you know, kind of talking about that interesting passage from Matthew in the Bible about, you know, cutting off the arm lest the rest of the body be lost. And, you know, they kind of have this sort of cool bonding moment, because I think Herschel realizes that, you know, they need to incorporate Merle in some way. You know, there's got to be a way that they can work this out. And I think in a way they kind of have some sort of common understanding. There's something about them that meshes, and I like that, you know. And yet, Merle at the same time, you know, he's a survivor. I don't think he's much of a teddy bear yet. I don't think he ever really will be. But it's interesting to kind of watch him and to try and attempt to peel through the masks and the facades, you know, like when he comes to Michonne and he's like, you know, trying to set things right. He's kind of a chameleon in some ways, but, you know, it keeps things interesting to watch for sure. What else is going on? I love Daryl and Carol's friendship. You're right. That's something I've kind of been clinging on to, something I've been sort of happy about. I like that Michonne really gets up in Andrea's pretty little girl. I think that my favorite quote from the episode was, like, you chose a warm bed over your friend. I mean, I think it might have been worded a little bit more eloquently, sort of a more visceral, Michonne kind of way, but that really stuck with me because ultimately that's what Andrea stuck with when she first fell for the governor, was that good feeling, you know? She was going for the good vibes, and it blindsided her to the possibility that there could be something horribly and grievously wrong and something dangerous underlying the seemingly happy community. You know, to her, it's like she finds this utopia, and somehow it's not inherently suspect in such a time as this. She wants any drop of paradise that she can get, whereas Michonne, you know, she will sacrifice paradise for the truth, whatever the cost, and that's something that I dig about her. I can't wait to see her busting out some more warfare. I like that girl. I like it. So, yeah, I thought that things were going to get a little bit closer to battle. You know, action-wise, it was a pretty light episode. Milton is just tragic to me. He is just a sad little peanut butter and jelly sandwich where, like, you know, it's been sitting in the plastic bag and the jelly kind of like oozes into the bread, and it's just overall a big disappointment. I have lots of disappointments revolving around certain characters right now, but yeah, so that's all fun and dandy. What a great guy, and interesting to see where the governor and Andrea are going to stand. By the way, hun, I almost killed you last night, and then I just decided to, you know, take this knife and shave my arms. Ugh. I don't even. What did you guys think of this episode? If there's anything I forgot, oh yeah, Tyrese, I believe that's his name. His group comes back into the picture, so that's kind of like the bigger twist of the episode, I suppose. You know, and then we see that kind of like the hospitality of the governor. You know, all of a sudden he puts up the facade that he completely abandoned after, you know, all hell broke loose. All of a sudden he just kind of reassumes it, you know, as though everything was like, you know, what it was like before. And obviously he's looking to use the group in some way, you know, and it's interesting because he doesn't immediately try to grope them for details about the prison. He's like, oh, just relax, and, you know, that's the governor's way. So what do you guys think is going to happen there? Is Tyrese in his group? I hope I'm saying his name right. Are they in the comics? And if so, how does that kind of play out? And make sure in your comments, you know, for other people, always include those spoiler alerts and things like that. Because I know some people, it's the bane of their existence. So, what do you guys think of this episode? What are you hoping for next time? We have just a few more left in this season, actually. Yeah, I'm surprised that things have kind of been stretched out as long as they have. I've been waiting for that confrontation, you know, between Rick and the governor specifically. I thought it was gonna happen a long time ago. So, I don't know. I'm excited to see where this goes, hoping for some more action next time. Of course, whenever The Walking Dead does bring action, it is harrowing. So, I don't know if they're just trying to give us a break after last week's excitement. So, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you like it. I do The Walking Dead and Dexter reviews. I make music. I do comedy sometimes, and I'm gonna start doing some Breaking Bad stuff in the future too. So, take care, y'all. Thank you for watching. I keep saying that over and over and over again. I've been watching too much of the Academy Awards. Alright, peace.